Hey guys, here's some notes to help you on the Unit 7 test retake. So this first video is going to cover the discriminant, quadratic formula, and all that good stuff. So let's start with the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, at the same time, we have this idea that if you have the square root of negative 1, that's going to make an I. And if you have the square root of, say, negative 36, that's going to make a 6i. And the square root of negative 25, well, that's going to make a 5i. And if you have the square root of something that you can't really take the square root of, then you're just going to pop out the letter I and leave the square root like it is. So that's the first idea, the quadratic formula. The second idea is that if you have a negative sign under the square root, that's going to turn into I. So negative turns into I. Negatives under square root turns into I. So what would happen if under the square root here, that is negative? In other words, what happens if b squared minus 4ac is negative? So if b squared minus 4ac, if the stuff under the square root is negative, then the quadratic formula becomes negative b plus or minus the square root of something negative. Let's just say like negative 10. And whenever you have a negative under the square root, that's going to pop out the letter I. Negative b plus or minus I square roots of 10 over 2a. This is, in fact, two different solutions, negative b plus I and negative b minus I. Okay, so what we're going to do is go through the review. It's called the Unit 7 test review. And the first question is going to ask something like that, like this. It's going to give you an equation, x squared plus 3x plus 6 equals 0. And it asks, does this have 0 solutions, 1 solution, or 2 solutions? And so it's all going to turn on what the discriminant is. Again, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Your first letter is a. Here, a is 1, b is 3, and c is 6. So we're going to plug those numbers in. Where you see b, we're going to plug in b. b is 3, so 3 squared minus 4. Where you see a in the formula, a is 1. And where you see c, c is 6. That's going to be 9. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. So that's 9 minus 24. And so the answer to that is negative. And if you have the square root of something negative, that's going to pop out an I. Now, not just one I, it's going to pop out a plus and minus I square roots of 15. So you have those two solutions, but those solutions are imaginary, and so this has 0 real solutions. Okay, let's do another question. You do this one on your own. Let's say the equation was x squared plus 6x plus 100. Okay, you solve this out, and you get b squared, so that's 6 squared minus 4 times a times c, so that's 36 minus 400, and that's going to turn into negative 364. And so for this thing, this again is where you have 2 imaginary but 0 real solutions. Well, what if you had something like this? Give this one a try. X squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay, so again, discriminant b squared minus 4ac. So 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9, 36 minus 36 equals 0. So what does that mean if the discriminant is 0? That means you have in the whole quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, but it's the b squared minus 4ac that is 0. So we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to fill it in instead with a 0. All right, well, what's the square root of 0? Square root of 0 is 0. And then adding 0 doesn't really change the value. And subtracting 0 doesn't change the value. So both of these things are equal to negative b over 2a, and that is 1 real solution. So the second case, if your discriminant is 0, then you have 1 real and 0 imaginary. Okay, let's do one more case. You work this one out on your own. X squared plus 4x plus 3. And go ahead and figure out what the discriminant is. Okay, so it's middle number squared minus 4 times the first times the last. 16 minus 12 is 4. So in this case, when you do the quadratic formula, it's going to be negative b plus or minus the square root of 4 over 2a. The square root of 4 is 2, so that gives you these two solutions. The two solutions are negative b plus 2 over 2a, negative b minus 2 over 2a. But these are very much real and very much solutions. So you have two real solutions. Okay, I'll go ahead and stop there. This is the first video on discriminant and what kind of solutions that gives you. Oh, actually, before I end, I just want to tie a couple things together. If the discriminant is negative, so if you have some kind of like negative under the square root, when you graph it, it's going to look like that. If the discriminant is 0, it's going to look like this. And if the discriminant is positive, doesn't matter what number it is, as long as it's positive, you have two solutions like that. So the thing under the square root is the discriminant. Discriminant is negative, means it looks like this. Discriminant is 0, looks like this. And discriminant positive looks like that. Okay, this is really it, and I'll post another video with the other questions.